perspective on the whole picture. But when you look at the fundamental basics, all of a sudden the picture becomes crystal clear. But the Federal Reserve was a brilliant move on the part of the boys to take it all over. A gold and silver-backed currency, which up until '63, they phased out gold and silver. There was not enough gold and silver to back the intrinsic value of the United States. And in fact, probably at that time they had less than 5% of the gold and silver necessary to back up what was in circulation. And the value, the intrinsic value. So they switched over to the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve, by the way, is a private association, kind of like the Boy Scouts, Knights of Columbus, a very close government authority working with it. And they have membership banks participating with the Federal Reserve. And by being a member bank, they get certain privileges and benefits and so forth, as long as they intercooperate within guidelines. I've heard people say, well, it's in the Federal Reserve. Yeah, well, it's like saying, let's cancel the Boy Scouts. You still have a lot of Boy Scouts, they're just no longer members of the association. So all the banks go off separately doing what they want to do by themselves. Because the association is strictly a private association. The banks are just members, following certain guidelines. But by creating the Federal Reserve, they were now able to expand the money supply each and every year, dealing with the value. A dollar is a bartering tool. It's a piece of paper with ink and print on it, okay? But as an accepted bartering tool is where it has value. Polynesian countries, way back when, they used to use seashells as bartering tools, okay? They used gold and silver and, butter, cattle, wheat, corn, soybeans, and bartering tools. The dollar is a good bartering tool. It's in an ATM, the seashells did, so they used the dollar. But as they expanded the growth of the dollar and the money was recycled back into government would collect a massive amount of money, put it out in services to the public, but each year they were pulling off 2, 3, 4%, 5%, really good year, maybe 8%, and investing it. Well, each year, another 2, 3, 4, 5% invested. Next year, 2, 3, 4, 5% invested. Well, that adds up each year. And over 65 years, government took it all over by investment. Fortune 500 companies, the banks as being the number one investor, the insurance companies. Now, in the news a while back, Hershey, the chocolate company, they were going to move their plant down to Mexico. Now, the corporation and the directors, no way. They loved being in Hershey, Pennsylvania. They were a landmark. It was the spirit of Hershey, Pennsylvania. They didn't want to move. The stockholders, government wanted them to outsource to Mexico because they'd get 6, 7, 800% higher profits. Who were the collective government bartering to get them to move? Local and federal government management being networked through the private associations. What did they do to sweeten the deal? They also gave Hershey a $700 million bond, issuance under Hershey, to give them the money to build their plants down in Mexico, to guarantee this new 6, 7, 800% profit. Now, on my website, which is CAFR1.com, stands for Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, CAFR1.com. On the front page, you'll see a big red button that says CAFR Downloads. I put a few example CAFRs up there for states and cities and counties. But you'll also see the audit of the Federal Reserve, which is their annual financial report. I have 2009, 8, and 7 up there. You'll see the audit of the IRS up there. Okay? Very good thing to look at. One report which caught my eye, and I made sure I put it up, I usually don't get floored. But at the end of 2008, I trade the futures market, commodities, gold, silver, cattle, wheat, corn, currencies. Done that for 32 years. I was a CTA, commodity trading advisor, for 14 years. Used to be a tenant up at the World Trade Center. Did an international news line via satellite, primarily on silver and U.S. Treasury bonds. And as I learned this about government, one revelation after another. Well, for the last couple of years, I thought I caught it all. End of 2008, came across a report. Comptroller of Currencies puts out an audit of the banks, their top derivative holdings. Looked at it. On the first page, second paragraph, it states that 5 commercial banks were responsible for 97% of all derivative trades from all banks. 5 commercial banks. I said, okay, that makes sense. Then I went 2/3 down through the report to the tables section. You'll notice in a government report they'll have pages and pages of script talking about what they want everyone to see. They always put the good stuff at the end. They figure everybody's going to fade out before they get 2/3 through the report and not never going to see it. Always go about 2/3 of the way down in any government report and start looking from there, and then get back to the beginning. But the table section, they have about 18 tables in the report. Table 1 were the top 30 banks. And I looked at it, and the report was in millions, so that meant adds 6 zeros to the number. Well, J.P. Morgan Chase was king. Showed their net worth at $1.4 trillion. Are you ready for what their derivative holding was? Somebody take a guess. 90 trillion dollars. That blew me away. Okay, that was just J.P. Morgan Chase. Now keep in mind, that's not J.P. Morgan Chase's money. That's their clients' money. Who were the primary clients who were trading these derivatives for? Local and federal government investment management funds, which they were acting as the clearing agent for. Okay? And just to qualify what 90 trillion is, in 2000, Alan Greenspan, as quoted from the Wall Street Journal, he said he was concerned about the $80 trillion a year international derivative market. So at the end of 2000, internationally we had $80 trillion. Here come 2008, here's J.P. Morgan Chase holding 90 trillion, 10 trillion more than the entire world derivative market in 2000. Now the derivative market, which is my specialty, I've traded